How did you initially like get started on your path of like whether it being with MMA and also getting connected with like the Lions Den because reputable name, but obviously back then was one of the biggest teams at the time.
So it's just lots of like 6 degrees of separation, people knowing people. So long and short of it is, I'm a dual citizen, Canadian and United States, and I was working at a place in Buffalo, New York. It closed many years ago. It's called the Pier. It was called the Pier. I was working there, and this would have been going back to like the not quite mid 90s, really, but right around that point in time. The UFC is still very new, and standing around with a bunch of security because that's what I was doing at that time. And we're just having a conversation about the UFC, and this guy kind of catches wind of the conversation, so he joins as well. His name is Charlie Anzalone, really good guy. I've known him for a long time. And the 6 degrees of separation, he worked at the airport. My mom worked at the airport as well. And guarantee you guys would both recognize who Charlie is. You might not necessarily know the name, but he would be one of the guys with the Nevada State Athletic Commission, the burgundy suit or whatever, like kind of part balding. Guaranteed, if you pulled him up on the computer, you would find him no problem. But he had a whole bunch of side hustles on the go. He'd been a DJ forever. He promoted kickboxing fights, and he was the guy that I think was able to help Kevin Rozier get into UFC 1. So the connection was there. And you know what, he's like a social butterfly kind of guy, gets along well with everybody. So he becomes a well-connected guy. And so he joins this conversation with us and says, "Oh yeah, you're interested in UFC." And I've got, you must have seen Kevin Rozier fight, And I said to him, I would love to watch one of those live. How do you get tickets to see one? He goes, "Well, tell you what," he goes, "I've got a fighter. His name was Joel Sutton, who I'm gonna have fight in UFC 6. If you get a plane ticket, you can come with me to Wyoming. You can tag along and you can get a firsthand look at it." So because of the airport connection, it wasn't a problem to catch the flight. So go to Wyoming, and I think I was 18 at the time, and just I'm like starstruck. You've got all these guys that you've been watching on all the UFCs, boom, right in front of you. Here they all are, and Ken Shamrock was fighting Dan Severn for the super fight. So meet him along with all the others. And Ken Shamrock's dad, Bob Shamrock, was there. And for whatever reason, he took a liking to me, and he liked to bust chops. So he was busting my chops anytime I ever ran into him during that point in time. It was just incredible. But basically shake everyone's hands. Great to meet everyone. This was an amazing trip. Come back home. And as fate would have it, the next UFC 7, was in Buffalo, New York, right? So some of the guys actually pop into that bar, the Pier, one of them being Ken Shamrock's like, boom, here he is. So talk to him. Hey, wow, this is like incredible that you're here. Hey, where are you guys doing your tapering at? And he goes, we don't have like a spot of our own to do tapering training. I'm like, I can't believe this, right? But again, this was early days UFC. It was nothing like what it is now, right? So I'm like, okay, like give me a second. Let me see if I can help. Because I was a true supporter of the sport and everything. So if there's something that I can do, I'm happy to do it. So I talked to my Japanese jiu-jitsu instructor, Wayne Wells. He's now gone off into the stunt choreography business, doing really well for himself. And I said, Wayne, like these guys don't have a place to train. Like, do you think we can help them out? He's like, of course we can. So we end up going to Buffalo from the Niagara region. We're picking Ken and the crew up because Scott Bazak also fought on that card, on the undercard, picking them up, bringing them to our gym, and it's completely off the grid. Gym's closed. Ken said, can we get, some boxers? Can we get some of this? Can we get some of that to kind of do some tapering with the guys? So, it was basically just helping facilitate those private sessions. And as the result of that, Bob says, you know what, we really appreciate what you did. They had taken interest in one of my training partners, and they said, we want to invite this guy's name is Ryan Labaki. We'd like to invite Ryan to try out for the team, but you know what, Matt, we'd like you to try out too. So it was kind of, to me, it was like a kind gesture. And I guess as fate would have it, Ryan wasn't able to try out at the time. He ended up trying out. He actually made it later. But at the time, everything was just kind of falling into play where there wasn't a reason to not do it. So I trained, and flew out to California, tried out, and I made it. So it's kind of like, whoa, like, you know, now everything's going like a million miles a second. And I decided to go with the flow. So the next thing you know, I'm moving out to California. I joined the team. And at that point in time, I would have been about 19. So it was just incredible coincidences, 6 degrees of separation. And that's how I got out there. So the real key person for all that was Charlie Ansel. And anytime I bring any of this stuff up, I always make a point of just acknowledging that, because it would have never have happened without him.
Okay. So you got invited out to California. You're training with the Lions Den. You're trying out to actually just even get on the team. So
right.
I've heard some legendary things about Lions Den practices. Take me through your first one there and how good or not so good it went.
The first practice or the tryout?
The tryout and the first practice.
Okay.
Like take me through overall, just the whole experience out there.
So at that time, Ken made sure everything was looked after. So there were 6 of us that tried out. Those that were flying in, we ended up staying at the fighter house. So Mike Martell, I don't know if you know Mike or not, but Mike Martell, he tried out at that time. There was a guy, Ken Simmons from Toronto. He tried out. There was me. There was a local guy, Ronnie Roberts, and oh my gosh, Austin Long, and there was one other guy. So we're there, and we try out. We go to I think it was like a football stadium in Lodi, because they were in like Northern California. And we do a little bit of a warm up, like a short run. And then we're getting into these squats, like these flowing Hindu type squats. I don't know if you've ever seen that before or not, but we have to rifle off a whole bunch of those. And that was kind of like that kind of gut checker, that moment of truth, is like everybody was feeling it. And the people who were able to like muster up that resilience to try and drive through it were the ones that continued to succeed to the next steps of the trial, because there was a whole series of things you had to do. The Hindu squats were one. We had to do like a certain length of doing like a wheelbarrow walk. We had to do, oh my gosh, there was a certain amount of elements, if you will, that we had to do at the football field. And then we went back to the gym. There was like some sparring there. We had to hit pads. And by the time we got to hitting pads, there was 3 of us left. There was Ronnie Roberts, myself, and Ken Simmons. And basically the end of it was Ken was very direct and said, I might take 1, maybe 2 tops. So at the end of it, he selected Ronnie, who, and to this day, I still don't know why, was unable to continue with it. So Ronnie was selected and I was selected. And Ronnie did not continue. So then I was the only one at that time that ended up ultimately moving in with the guys. We lived on Ken's ranch for a bit. And then we actually ended up moving in with Bob Shamrock. But one of the first training workouts that I did, and again, this just shows how like wild things are. We're in Frank's Camaro, tops down, and Pete Williams, I think, had his Bronco. So some of the guys were riding in the Bronco, and then there was Frank driving his vehicle. And again, this is like, as I think about it, like 25 years ago. So my memory is obviously fading on the specifics of it. But we're on the highway, and Frank decides he wants to pass around a car, and now we're driving head on with a transport truck. Oh, and Jesus. I'm like, oh yeah. It's like, you know what? I lived a good life. I actually made it this far. I almost made it to a workout. You know what? Life was good. And I am watching this, like we're going head on with the transport truck. So, you know, Frank is just cool as a cucumber, goes around. That transport truck's just putting on the horn. So Frank's just like kind of like waving as we go on. I'm like, this is unbelievable, right? So I'm gonna
die. I'm gonna die.
Oh yeah. Like, you know, I had to get like come to peace with what was about to happen, right? So we get to San Francisco, find a park to train at, And the guys were out, and it was like they were doing a grid search or something, and I had no idea what they were doing, but it turns out they were searching for needles. They ended up recovering a couple needles in the area, so we're basically clear. Yeah, oh yeah, that's. But again, I'm not accustomed to this, but they're familiar with the area, familiar with the potential concerns. So we ended up doing a workout, and there it was just basically stand up stuff, like hitting pads and stuff, like great workout. And again, just the wildness that happens. There was these two guys that were actually gearing up to scrap, like in this kind of clearing close to where the park was. One guy had like a blade, the other guy had a chain, and these two guys are just totally face off, ready to fight. And the team says to me, "We want you to go up to the jack guy and say, we're putting our money on you." Like, man, like these guys are armed. Like, well, you want me to go up to the guy with the knife? Like, you guys are, like, and they're like, "Hey man, we got your back. You got nothing to worry about." And so and quickly I realized that they're not kidding around with that kind of thing. Like they look out for one another as any team would, even with the new guy that they're going to pick on. That's the runt or whatever you want to refer to the new guy as. But the training was really intense, and they conjure this incredible confidence in you. So it's like, you're going to be able to push through anything because you're going to be built up to be able to do that. So that never say die attitude, the can do attitude, absolutely from day one all the way through the entire time I was there, that was definitely instilled in all the people that were there. And I think the reason why so many of the guys at the time were just doing so well and winning titles and so on was because they had that mindset.
Thanks everybody for watching. And remember, don't forget to like and subscribe. Keep training, and we'll see you on the mat.